All right. Welcome, everybody, to a brand new Monday. Thank God that we are alive. Welcome to the wonderful world of Rich Blye, coming to you live from the Voice of Chester at cmpradio.net. The CMP Radio Foundation.org. Please follow us on Instagram at CMP Radio, cmpradio.net, the Voice of Chester, where you get to share your voice to our collective experience. No topic is off limits. No conversations will not be silenced. And the voice of the people will always be heard. All right. Folks, as I told you, when you tune in on Mondays, it is my duty and it is part of my privilege to always bring you the relevant news, bring you the relevant going ons and happenings with our local government, any festivities, events, things of that nature, all the way from Chester, all the way down to Upper Darby and all points in between. Today's show, we have a very special guest. This person is from out of Virginia. And as I've preluded in my lives and as I preluded on my Facebook pages and such and my Instagram, I want to introduce you to a very good friend of mine. And her name is Miss Aurora Tina XO. Now, before I bring her on and have her start talking to you guys, let me tell you why I'm having her speak on this show in particular. Miss XO is someone that I've known for a number of years, have been a part of my family for a number of years. But what I didn't know and what I found out May 9th of 2025 is that she is actually a direct descendant of James Armstrong Lafayette. Now, for anyone that doesn't understand who James Armstrong Lafayette is, he's from the great state of Virginia. He was an enslaved African-American during the American Revolutionary War under Marquis de La Salle from France, when France involved themselves in the American Revolution. And he received legislative emancipation, which means that a law was created to free him from American servitude. He became the first African-American spy and double agent during the war when the reported activities of Benedict Arnold after he defected to the British and the activities of Lord Charles in the days of leading up to the siege of Yorktown. Now, that's just part of her story. I'm going to let her tell you the rest of her story. And it's my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Tina XO. Miss Tina XO, come on in. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing just great. Thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you for being part of the wonderful world of Rich Blye on cmpradio.net, the Voice of Chester. So, how you doing today?
I'm doing well.
I know
a little
that
nervous.
Absolutely. Usually when people are doing an interview and it's their first time, it's like, oh, I don't want to mess up. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say that. It's okay. It's all right. We're going to get through it. So briefly, just tell the folks, I preluded a little bit about James Armstrong Lafayette. Tell the audience, what's it like being a direct descendant of a American Revolutionary War hero?
It's pretty amazing. And as you know, I homeschooled my children. And right. That was kind of the path of learning more about the story because our family's Armstead. Okay. And so we kind of just knew that information, but you just don't know anything more than that. It was almost just a name. Right. And so being totally responsible for my children's curriculum, always just looking for different things, most about Black history as we can. And I had the ownership of the history that it was pretty amazing to find out deeper parts of his story. And then also how much not is known about him. We live here in Williamsburg, Virginia. and as we call it, the birthplace of America.
Absolutely.
And I know that Philadelphia also takes that claim, so we share it
Yeah,
with
well,
you guys.
I think that a lot of people need to understand that Williamsburg is the birthplace of America, but Philadelphia is the birthplace of American freedom and revolutionary. America was founded in colonial Williamsburg. This is why people travel down there. And I know about the history of Williamsburg and, the settlement down there. But you said something to start this that really intrigues me, is that you learn more about your family history by homeschooling your children. And I'm huge on education, and I'm also for school choice, which includes homeschooling. So tell me what it's like to be a mom, homeschooling your children, and then researching the history at the same time. That journey within itself. I know your kids were learning, but obviously you learned something too.
Yeah, we lived in a historically Black neighborhood when the kids were growing up. So all of the street names were after different famous Black people.
Right.
And so I didn't realize how much I didn't know.
Right.
So I was learning with them. And James wasn't even a topic. Like, we were learning about Benjamin Banneker, Frederick Douglass. And so part of being in Williamsburg, I mean, it's colonial Williamsburg. So homeschooling, I had to do everything free. I didn't have the money to do the expensive curriculum, but we had history right here. And so being out here, we started hearing, you're just exposed to the story in a unique and different way. Like, I've had family members back in the day when they had the mini series of similar to Roots, but they'd be about George Washington, and I have family members that were in it. And so we didn't know it. It was just around us. And then we look at it, and as I say to my family, we're here and we're like the people who kind of never left. Like, everyone else kind of migrated out of Virginia. But my family is rooted from Charles City. It's just always been here. And I want to claim it all the way back to 1619. I don't know, but it feels like it. And so,
not to cut you off, Tina, but just the fact that you're able to go back to 1776, 1775, 1774. I mean, like, most people can't even go back to the 60s and find a lineage. So that has to be pretty amazing within itself, that you want to go even further to ensure that your family lineage and bloodline is secure in the future going forward with your descendants. And that's very admirable. How do your children feel about being part of history and this special lineage that they're in? How do you think they feel about that?
Well, the thing is it's also new. It's new even for Williamsburg. And so like, we were really strongly involved with the 1619 getting ready for it, like 3 years prior. And so I don't think people really knew that story then. Like, I think that we're starting to create new history books right now. So they have a placard that's by Fort Monroe for the first site of the African landing. I don't think that was put up until like 2015. And so, like, when you're asking the questions, a lot of it I'm like, I don't think it was here. I think that gearing up to 1619, to the 2019 commemoration, that 400 years, that started getting the ball rolling. And the people like the 1619 project, like, they've always been studying it, but their efforts were finally starting to pay off. So a lot of it wasn't there. So I can't go back and even talk about it in that way, because it wasn't there. It's like, we're making history in the meanwhile. So in saying that, we have College of William and Mary here in Williamsburg. And so they were here from the beginning. They weren't we claim first college, but technically they'll say second.
Right.
But they were built by slaves. I mean, the first Black people that were even allowed to attend, I think, was like in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a deep-rooted history made by slavery, and now they're trying to make up for all of those. Is pretty much 400 years,
Right.
and so they're putting a lot of effort in now to have students. They have grants to do studies now to help the descendant community here.
Mm-hmm.
So in my field trips, and that's what I'm getting at with the kids,
Right.
doing
Right.
my field trips, like any new thing that came up, like when they had a placard that came up that said School for Blacks. So as much as I walk out here, I never saw that before. So I was
Right.
like, oh, what's that? And then all of a sudden, a few years ago, a big deal started getting made about this Blye School for Blacks. And it was a
Mm-hmm.
school in 1776. It was a few years prior. The school was built for Black children, free and enslaved. So
Right.
field trip wise, we would go on that. So my last name, like I said, my family name is Armstead.
Mm-hmm.
And so the people there, they started noticing from the things that I signed up for. They're like, are you from the descendant community here? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I never even heard the term. But
Right.
I said, my family's been here. I don't know how, we never left. We just been here.
Right.
And so now through that, I've just been pulled into this other world that I didn't even know existed. And it's all happening. Like they just opened the school officially on June 19th to the public to
Right.
see.
Right.
But I've gotten to, over the last few years, go to a special events to where like the governor's there and now everyone's recognizing the descendant community. And so I'm hoping that through that, and also my dad's last name is Jones. So that was also one of the names of the children that went to this school.
Right.
That they're putting effort in now to study this. So we've got people at the university with grant money, students and everything now with vested money going in to help us find our real history, which we didn't have before.
And let me tell you something, Tina. I'm very huge on that here locally because I have this battle with folks because not for nothing, I understand the importance of telling the story and the historical nature and the suffering of enslaved African Black Americans here in this country. I'm never dismissive of that part of the diaspora that has happened, to us. But like you said, there is another side to this story. There are sides of the story, stories of success, stories of courage, stories of prosperity. There are stories of vigilance. There are stories of great women in our culture, great men in our culture, great times in our culture. And these stories have to come to the surface because we all know that the more that we keep accentuating on the negative, we push our children down. The more that we hype the positive, not saying we're dismissive of what happened to us, but the more that we say we achieved, we give our children a wonderful platform to move up and something that they can look back and be proud of and say, I'm part of this. I come from this. I'm happy to be a part of this. We both come from the era of say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud with James Brown, and that's how we grew up. And we grew up knowing that, there were people that were against us, but we grew up knowing our history. We grew up having an understanding of our family values, and we grew up loving our culture. So, for you to be thrust into the spotlight, how has that changed your family dynamic? Because I know a lot of this stuff you do from the muscle, Tina. Like, you're not getting no money. There's not bags of cash being thrown at your door for what you're doing. So a lot of this really comes from your passion and your personal commitment. Why don't you tell the folks what's that like, with some of the stuff you do? And I'm gonna segue into it real quick by saying that Tina also has done a lot of work on behalf of the Howard Ball chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated, okay, in the Eastern region. And when I'm telling you that this story itself is dynamic, along with what we know about your ancestor, the work that you do on behalf of the Tuskegee Airmen, Inc., all of that stuff comes basically from out of your pocket, right? Yeah. Yeah. And it's a couple $1,000s too, huh? It's all right to say that. No, it's all right to say that because again, the organization that is going to present you with your humanitarian award acknowledges that fact, that you take a lot of personal time and expense away from your family, away from other commitments. You got a steady job, all of these things that we take for granted in our real world of things that we have to do. You extend yourself more. And those are the things that I want our community to understand, that a lot of these events that you attend on behalf of the Tuskegee Airmen, you're an hour away. So, not only do you have to deal with the drive and the gas, you have to deal with the mental burden of watching the road and looking out for drivers and, getting there safe, and then dealing with the hours of smiling and pressing hands and talking and standing, and then go back and drive and then get up and go to work. How do you keep that type of passion going, Tina? Tell the people, how do you keep that passion going? Because a lot of people don't have that. I got it. I know you got it. Yours is more subdued. But tell the folks, what's it like to have that type of passion?
I can say probably when I was around 25, 24, 25, I just started having a change of heart about what I wanted to do with my life when I grew up. And it wasn't money centered at all.
Right.
And I've always been passionate about our place in the world, and just seeing the sadness of it, but also at the same time how much better everything is as well. And so at that time, my life just completely shifted in goal oriented to service oriented, and it started with my children. When I started having babies, I had come across, before getting pregnant, I came across a phrase, "You must be the change you wish to see in the world."
Right.
And this Mahatma Gandhi. And I remember when I saw that phrase, it was so impactful. And so I understood. I was a political science major when I went to college. And I was like, okay, I can't do it through institutions. I can't do it through laws. I can't do it in any way except being the change. And that was a hard concept to understand or take on, but something in it made sense to me. And so
I can tell you, Tina, it does make sense, because we've been so institutionalized with our history. We've been so institutionalized with the perception of what history is and what we have been led to believe. I've been stating this since the beginning of 2025, that this is the year of truth, and that the year of truth is going to come from the people, that there is a groundswell of folks who are bucking against the trend of listening to those who wrote the history because they were the winners at that time. The history still stands, and the history has to come from the people who are closer to it. History is from the people, written by people who have won wars. But now we're in an age where there is no war, so the history is bubbling up. The ancestors are speaking. The ground is giving up their ghosts, in a sort of way. And now that these things are coming out, we live in an age where more people are asking for relevance. They're asking for truth. And that's what they're seeking, especially our young people. Our young people are tired of the old head lies. They're tired of the old head way. They are tired of it. They want validity with their history, and they want to hear some strength of history. And this is where you come in, because we are the new elders. And again, Tina, what you bring, folks, you have to understand how dynamic I feel personally about the work that she's done. Tina, give me a second. I'm just going to read why you have been selected as the Eastern Region person for the Eastern Region Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated Humanitarian Award of the Year, guys. So I know that everyone listening, watching, viewing has an idea about the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. I'm not going to get into it because it'll take so long and we can cover that for hours. But you have a history. You've seen some of the movies. You've read some of the books. You've seen some of the autobiographies. That history is firm as to who they are. But the person that I'm honoring today with this podcast, the letter that came from the organization that's giving you this humanitarian award, I'm just going to read it. Dear Nomination Committee, the Howard Ball chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen, Inc., HBC-TAI, is proud to nominate Aurora Tina XO for the 2025 Eastern Region Tuskegee Airmen Incorporated Humanitarian Year of the Award. We believe that Tina is an outstanding individual that fulfills the criteria for consideration for this prestigious award. She possesses a unique combination of skill sets and a sincere passion for community service. This is excellently written. As a longtime volunteer member of the TAI, her commitment goes above and beyond as she serves in critical roles as the HBC TAI Vice President, as well as the Eastern Region Representative. So you wear a whole bunch of hats, huh? You got a whole bunch of hats going on. She has taken ownerships of the responsibilities of these positions and executes them in an exceptionally high manner. Further evidence is her true humanitarian commitment to her community. Tina also volunteers at her local chapter of the NAACP, the Youth Aeronautics Educational Foundation, the YAEF, Head Start, and the Project Discovery Board. How many hats are you wearing, woman? Whew. Her 4 children are also members of the HBC TAI, the NAACP, and the YAEF. As a result of Tina's involvement, all organizations support each other, share best practices, and have partnered on several fundraising events. Tina does all this for the community while working full time and having homeschool her 4 children. We feel Tina is both an outstanding and deserving candidate for the 2025 Eastern Region TAI Humanitarian of the Year Award. And let's go through some of your accomplishments. I got to read these. I'm sorry. I got to read these accomplishments because, again, Tina, I'm sorry. We have folks that literally live 5 minutes away from a meeting, that live literally around the corner from going to a council meeting. And we have folks up here that keep talking about, we need people to do this, we need people to do that. And when we look for them, we can't find them. So let's talk about the one that we found, Miss Tina XO. Quality of humanitarian service. Tina's humanitarian commitment is evidence in the fact that not only does she volunteer for the HBC TIA, the ERTIA, and the NAACP, and the YAEF, and Head Start, and Project Discovery, but she participates in all of the highest levels of leadership positions and responsibility, which means that basically you didn't wait for a leader, you became one. Tina engages her children in these humanitarian community-focused efforts as they're all members and active participants in some of these same organizations. Tina is particularly youth focused with her humanitarianism. She has advocated for YAEF flight training. Student Jacob Smithers to receive $1,000 of an assistance grant to help him earn his private pilot's license. So you're knocking out young pilots too, huh? You putting young Black men and women in the air, huh? Is that what we're doing? I need people to understand this. You are advancing us at an individual pace by helping one person at a time achieve their greatest life goals. That is outstanding and admirable. But we're not going to stop there. Let's talk some more about what you do. You have main contact with the HBC TAI student member, Robert Arrington, after he moved to Ghana, West Africa. I want to tell folks, when we send our children abroad, they lose a valuable connection. They lose that taste of home. They lose that smell of home. they lose that feel of home. And sometimes we all get into our private things. What is one of the one things that you did for this young man to make sure that he still had a connection to his African-American roots back here at home in the United States while he visited the homeland of Africa? Well, I'm really intrigued about what you did to help him stay grounded and rooted while he was in Ghana.
Well, he has his pilot's license. So,
Wow.
I mean, these individuals, they're very determined and self-motivated. And so a few years ago, through the Tuskegee Airmen, they had an opportunity to send, I think it was 8 students. I think it was about a 10-month period where they could get their commercial pilot's license. So my son was already and he was almost done with college, so he didn't need that. So I went to Mr. Billings, who runs the youth aeronautics program, and I was like, do you have a candidate that we could put into this? And so he immediately said Robert Arrington. So he almost made it, and then he missed just one email, and that was enough to just eliminate him. But we kept contact
Right.
over the years, and he's a self-motivated person. He reaches out also. He knows how to keep in contact with those that are there to help him. And when this award came up, when I became Eastern Region representative, I had never heard of the award myself, but I thought of him, and we nominated him, and then he found out the other day that he received the award. So you're reading the nomination.
Wow.
But we made a nomination package for him, and so he found out. It's been within this week, and he's so thrilled that he received the award.
I'm so excited to hear how we as a people reach our youth to make their heart's desires happen. And it happens in such an impactful way that it may seem like that it's high impact for them, but it was low impact for us that put the work in. It was all about you making the connections to ensure that even though that email was missed, he didn't miss that boat. He didn't miss that opportunity just because of, an electronic mishap. You know what I'm saying? So I'm happy that there are folks like you that stay on top of our youth to continue the success, not just from our culture, but from many other cultures. Getting back into some of these accolades that I'm reading, and I want to talk about some of the things that you actually do that I think that a lot of our listeners and viewers can learn from. You've attended every chapter event. You've been part of your humanitarian act is helping veterans. I work with veterans. I'm the commander of the Upper Darby American Legion Post 214, where I live. I participate in just about helping veterans get connected with their service benefits. Your connection to the history and also being there for the veterans in a way. Explain what that's like when you're assisting a veteran, whether it's just talking to them or finding information out with them. What's that like for you to help people that have served this country?
Well, they made that sound better than it is. But I can say that I do spend a lot of times helping spread the story of the Tuskegee Airmen, and then attending these events and spending time with them. It's heartwarming. I don't even know if that's the right word.
Yes.
It's a lot. And I and my family have just had the opportunity to share space and be at unique events that I would have never have attended otherwise, and where you hear these veterans share their stories and they're crying. And then not only they're sharing their stories, but they're sharing the stories in an honest way about the wars and what war is really like and the aftermath of it. And I'm thankful. I'll kind of say more how it's impacted our family more so than I've impacted others, because I don't know if I have in that way.
Right.
But I'll say for like my son, for example, that does have his private pilot's license, and I'm not sure where he's going with his future career, but
right.
still here with him, and he's doing really good. So I'm really proud of him. He's working for American Airlines, but he's so young, so
Right.
you don't know what their futures are going to look like.
Exactly.
But them being so young and him entering this field, I think at first you're just a dreamer, and we believe that whatever you go after, you can achieve, and I believe that as well. But then as he's getting older, you see more of the reality of like, wow, there
Right.
really is a very low percentage of Black pilots, and it
Mm-hmm.
isn't as smooth and easy
Mm-hmm.
as they might have thought that it was. And then
Right.
to hear and be surrounded with these stories, I think it gives much more meaning
Yes.
to what's going on. And I see it in how he moves, how all my children move.
Yes.
And it's another layer. So it's not just like, oh, I want to achieve something. And even with the young pilot who got the award, like I can only see him on Messenger, but his whole room is just filled with historic aeronautic information, patches. I mean, he knows all aeronautic history, and my son is the same way. I love that we're NAACP also. And the Novian, who's the pilot, I remember when he was in NAACP, he was president. He gave a presentation, and he gave the aviation history of Black pilots and aviation history.
Right.
I didn't even know that. And here he is, 16 years old, giving this presentation. And this thought just came to mind. I remember when we were there was this, I'm trying to think of it was a Navy pilot, the Navy diver, and they made a movie, Cuba Gooding Jr.
You're talking about Bashir.
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 So Bashir's son is a pilot. He's a helicopter pilot at Chinook.
Yes.
So he, through a volunteer event with the Youth Aeronautics Foundation, he had seen my son. And so it's like a whole, since there's so few of them, they see each other. And it's like each one teach one. They know, here he is, he's had a full career, and now he sees someone who wants it. And so they have their eye on. So we're at the NAACP convention, and this guy comes over to me, and he's like, your son, he looks so familiar. And as I mentioned, where we were from, and he's like, yeah, that's it. And I was like, this is just so wonderful. He has connections with top, like admirals in the Coast Guard that call him, follow on Facebook, keep up with what he's doing. And my son himself, would do that as well and talk back. And I have been blessed for his career choice of just watching how everyone really is there to help. And so you say helping veterans, I say veterans are helping us because they get their eye on you, and they know the truth of it, and they do everything that they can to help. So we've been so blessed. And then specifically him, he's been so blessed to just be in communication and receive help from and support from others. And so Robert Arrington, to me, I feel the same way towards him. I'm like, this young man is trying to be an aviator. He already has enough self-determination that he already has his pilot's license. And it's like, we're not going to stop him from going further. I know that at some point you've got to feel defeated, or you don't have enough juice yourself, enough fire in yourself. And so the rest of us, what did you call us? The elders now?
The new elders. The new elders.
We're that's what we serve. And so if I haven't done anything. So that little bit of just thinking about someone that wants to do something and to try to help a little bit.
Can I tell you something, Tina? I know a lot of people say that we haven't really done anything. Can I tell you that in today's world, what I've known and what I've come across, people appreciate the little bit that you have done as opposed to the nothing that anybody else has done. That little bit of something, that little bit of care is better than nothing. There's an old saying, half a loaf of bread is better than none at all. You know, imagine not being able to eat and somebody gives you a half a loaf of bread. You're going to be extremely ecstatic. But imagine somebody having half a loaf of bread in front of your face and not sharing it with you or not partaking it with you. I think that that's what a lot of our young folks see. And that's what a lot of the anger stresses from them. So when they get someone like you that takes even a small interest, is probably at a point in time where they probably feel the most defeated. And along comes you, and you just give your, what you say is your 2 cents, but it's actually the key that opens up the opportunity that they've been looking for. So when I bring people onto this show, it's for relevancy, it's for truth, it's for history, it's for all of that. But I want to bring on real people who make real impacts that don't get this type of air. We need to bring you guys to the forefront and people know your names and know the work that you have done and the legacies that you are creating, not just in Virginia. This is a national thing where a lot of our young people all across this nation want to be pilots. And with this show and with people sharing this show, hopefully people will contact the Tuskegee Airmen, Inc. and say, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your program because I saw Miss Tina XO and she was talking about this and talking about that. And that's how we get people excited, by bringing out the normal, regular people, yourself, normal, regular, you're normal, you're regular, but outstanding. Let's get back into some of the stuff that you've done, like this trip to Italy. What you thought I wasn't going to pull that one out? Well, listen, I have a friend in Italy right now. What's up, rum runner? You'll see this later on. What's up, my man? Rum runner Dell. Tell me about this trip to Italy, what it entailed and why you went, and how did it make it? I need you to explain the story to Italy of why you were in Italy.
So I'll start with my daughter graduated high school last year, and she attended her first year of VCU here in Virginia. And but it was the end of my homeschooling. I was like, right. Wow. And I homeschooled all my kids from kindergarten or always all the way through their senior year. So I had this tiny space of time where I was like, okay, well, I don't have anything to do now. So I thought,
right.
And so I was invited by my chapter, the Howard Blye chapter, to do what I thought they said, you regional rep. So I thought it was some Virginia thing, meaning some Virginia region. And it was my first time. I don't know what the word is, but I had to get voted in. So whatever that means. So I got selected. I actually got selected to be an Eastern region rep, which meant of the whole East Coast. So there's 4 or 5 of us in each region. And there's a national Tuskegee board. And I didn't, deal with national. I dealt with my chapter. Right. And I thought, okay, you go to one meeting a month, about an hour, and it's nothing like that. And so there's 5 or 6 chapters that across the East Coast that I'm responsible for being a liaison for them, and national and back and forth, and just nothing, little things, but oh my gosh, it's very involved. So our Howard Blye chapter, that was the Tuskegee Airman that I knew, but he had passed before we became members. But his sons, he has 3 sons, were just amazing. And we met them through Novian with his aviation experience. And that was already special enough to be part of something so unique. And I can't describe it. So that was beautiful. And so, but I knew the stories, and I just loved this Howard Blye. You guys should look him up. Just amazing Tuskegee Airmen. And that's how I heard the story. But now I have chapters in Florida. who I'm responsible for. And I'm meeting their presidents and learning about their Tuskegee Airmen. And so it's amazing. They all have like such a similar story, like these men and women also, but we know how the military is set up.
Yes.
Their stories are phenomenal, and they're each individual, they're like the same type of person. It's like it's a gene or something. They're beautiful. So anyhow, one of the chapters that, well, I hadn't gotten assigned it yet. A new, very new thing had happened. We had Italy was applying to become a Tuskegee Airman chapter, and it would be our first one that we've ever had from overseas. And then soon right after that, Ghana also applied to become a chapter. Now, Tuskegee, Italy got him just a couple of months before, but neck and neck, we do have now 2 overseas chapters, Italy and Ghana. And I was selected to be their representative. So they then invited the Tuskegee Airmen, and we know like Red Tails, anyone who's the basic, the basic story, Hollywood story.
Right.
That's where everything took place. That's where they truly, I mean, obviously in Alabama and Tuskegee, where they originally had started, but that's where that's where they made history, was in Italy. That's their story. That's how they truly just changed the world. And I was like, oh, wow. So Italy, the village that we went to, Campo Marino, Ramitelli was the air base that they were stationed at.
Okay.
So they invited us as a delegation, the Tuskegee Airmen, to come there. It was their 80th year of liberation.
Wow.
Italy.
Yes.
And this little village gave just tons of credit to the Tuskegee Airmen because they were the ones who had them there. I mean, it was just a whole unique experience, a whole unique story. And because I'm the Eastern Region representative, I guess I had a reason to go, because pretty much everyone that was there was spouses of Tuskegee Airmen that are no longer living. We had one Tuskegee Airman that was able to attend, Daniel Keel, Flight Officer Daniel Keel. He was 102. He is 102 years old.
Over in Italy, cutting up, huh?
Oh my God, he was amazing. And I can't even give words. The day that we flew to go there, the Pope died.
Wow.
I can't even make this stuff up.
Kind of chaotic, huh?
Yeah, so he got to go to the Vatican and get a personal tour because of his unique history. So I'm just there. I've been on board meeting calls via Zoom, but I don't know these people.
Right.
But I got to meet him when I went there. And so that was beautiful. So all these representatives and people that have, most of them, a lot of them known each other for many, many years. And I was a newcomer there, but I got to meet them in person and have this very unique, once in a lifetime experience. And they welcomed us, the Tuskegee Airmen, as it does. The first night that we were there in the little village, they were presenting. They're also their World War II heroes, but with commendations. Daniel Keel stood up. The wives were there and recognized. I mean, it was very, very official. They have a mural of Benjamin O. Davis, General Benjamin O. Davis, on a wall in Italy, in this little tiny town. And they have so much love for the Tuskegee Airmen. And so we got love when we were there. So we had 3 days of conferences and very historical. I learned a lot about Italy's history. But then the last day they took us to Ramitelli. It's now a mostly broken down building where their headquarters were at. There's vineyards now that are covering where the airfield was. Every morning that I was there, I would go out to the Adriatic Sea that they swam in. Wow. And a couple of the wives would share stories about their husband sharing the stories of them going out to the Adriatic Sea. And it was just, it was very special to be there. I never even thought of a surviving spouse. Those things weren't even in my comprehension.
Right.
But then being there, they brought to me a specialness to the story. And I had not been around living Tuskegee Airmen before. So to be around Daniel Keel, and he was, his eyes were just so happy. I mean, he's totally functioning, sharp. He talks, he stands, he's not 102.
Yeah, he's a rare breed. He's bright. Those eyes.
Yes, yeah, and there's more. There's more
yes.
of them still living that are just like that. It's amazing. It was amazing.
That's the one thing I will say about men and women who are combat veterans. When they're happy about something, you see the brightness of their eyes. When they're telling the story of their life, or they're telling the story of a time of camaraderie, a time of where they had to put their courage to the test, you see that brightness from the past that shines, and you can feel that energy when they're speaking. And that's what I think a lot of folks need to understand. It's not the war part that we want you to focus on. It's the courage and determination of individuals who made it a personal sacrifice to keep these freedoms, not only for Americans, but for the Italians too. You know, especially Italians. If you know the history, you know, the Axis really came in there and did a number on Italy. And it really did take, you know, the Allied forces to help get that scourge out of there. And if you do know the history of Italy, there are a lot of places that absolutely love what the Tuskegee Airmen have brought, the prominence that is brought, the history that is brought, and the fact that they're so knowledgeable of our history in these countries. Like, they have more of the truth of our history in America in other countries. So that lets me know that we have a problem here in America when it comes to history, because the world doesn't. We have a problem here. We have a color problem. We have a political problem. We have a I'm right and you're wrong problem when it comes to history. And the people who tell the history just tell the history. You know, they don't force it down your throat. They just say, hey, I did this. This happened. This is where it goes. And then from there, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. If you want to make it positive, or you want to turn it negative. But we have to turn down those volumes of negativity when it comes to our own personal Black history. We have to turn down those volumes of negativity, because we have a lot of people that's trying to shut down what we're trying to learn now in this year of truth. So one of the things that you did in Italy that I'm impressed with is that you created a Dropbox system for all of the pictures that you had taken over there. And my understanding is that your organization just wanted everybody to throw in like 1 or 2 pictures of what you were doing down in Italy. But being the overachiever that you are, Tina, let's tell the audience how this all came about, and talk to me about that Dropbox program that you utilize so well.
I love your verbiage. We had at national level, they had just hired a media person, because right when beginning of this new administration, they were trying, they're doing it. They're removing history from everywhere. And so one of the places that they were trying to remove the Tuskegee story from was from the Air Force training, when they do, I guess it's their basic maybe.
Yes.
Or beginning school.
Yes.
And so when that happened, they were on it right away at national level. But they were like, oh my God, if this is happening right now. And the good thing was, the next day that was turned around, the person was like, oh, it was a mistake. I mean, it was like, okay, so they did really good on their own, but they're like, well, we need to hire someone. So one of the things, like you said, they suggested was that they created a Dropbox for us to correspond with the media person. So I made a link, like a Dropbox, as you would say, and put pictures in there. And I traveled a little bit more because most of them were older. And so my daughter came there with me. We were hoping my son could come, but he doesn't have a pass. He has it now, but he didn't have a passport.
Right.
So we went to Rome as well, my daughter and I, and we got it in while we could because the rest of the time we were part of this other trip. So we had extra pictures also to give.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, well, I listened to what they said and I put in hundreds of pictures in there. And I sent them to my chapter then as well. And so I was like, okay, well, I didn't know what they would need. And apparently no one, I don't know how many pictures other people sent, but I think I did go a little overboard. And so I sent them to my chapter, and meaning the few people that I meet with, regularly there, but we have a whole chapter. And so they went and they sent out the link to them, and Lord knows how many people got this link. And so now everyone is seeing my entire trip to Italy, seeing the Colosseum, eating gelato, going to the Vatican, and then all the other pictures as well. But I like your words for it. But yeah, it was a way to share it with everyone because it was a really unique.
So a lot of
experience.
A lot of the folks with this Dropbox, you said they were elderly, so they couldn't make the trip, of course. So they felt as though that. And again, a lot of people think that it's the small things that are insignificant. And I'm here to tell you, it's the small things that maximize and accentuate the positives. Because of your small effort, thousands of people got to share in this historical event in Italy for the Tuskegee Airmen, the 80th anniversary, because of your First Amendment rights of freedom of the press. People have to understand something, why we're big on these constitutional amendments. You were the press. You brought the news. The news was shared with thousands of people in a positive way to keep promoting the wonderful history of the Tuskegee Airmen International. It doesn't get any better than that. That's the ground roots of what I'm talking about with folks, that they just want you to stay mainstream. A lot of the folks that are in control of these narratives want you to stay mainstream. They don't want you to talk about things that have been done alternatively, things that are exceptions to whatever, or the fact of people are getting the history wrong. They're getting the history wrong. So it's important for those who are part of this history to speak up and speak out, so that way folks hear from the actual people that are from the actual history. And that's why you're on the show. But hold on a second. Let's talk about the STEM camp. Let's talk about the STEM camp, because I'm a huge supporter of the STEM program. Huge. I think that this STEM program has to be expanded in so many different ways, and it needs to be a lot more inclusive. So your connection to the STEM program, how does that work for you? Again, you being a mom who has homeschooled your children, this is right up your alley. Go right ahead.
So I'll start with Mr. Billings again from the Youth Aeronautics Aviation Foundation, or Educational Foundation. I always say it wrong, YAEF. He said, I want to, and he's done several STEM camps over the years and stuff. He's just a visionary. And I think it was beginning of this year, he decided he wanted to do another STEM camp. And that's what I love about people like him. So he did the footwork, and he reached out to the airport. That was the location. And then he reached out to different agencies like NASA, who are sometimes volunteer teachers, for his classes, FAA. It was so many high level names. I would disgrace it because I'm going to miss them all. But just from his little thought, he put it together. And then, of course, the Howard Baugh chapter, the Tuskegee chapter, was definitely gonna be there. And it was a great success for us. So here I was there wearing 2 hats. And so this is a side comment, but that's why I find myself in a lot of times, like, what t-shirt do I wear? This one, I didn't wear a YAEF t-shirt. I did wear a Tuskegee one, but I'm always like, I'm so sorry. So
I think you can be forgiven with as many acronyms that you have to remember inside of your head. I think everybody can forgive you and say, hey, we know she a part of us. We know she a part of us. We got her. She didn't get the acronyms right. It's better than the Philadelphia mayor not being knowing how to spell Eagles or a fraternity name. But I'm not going to go there because that's kind of low. But at any rate, Tina, I want to thank you for coming on to this program tonight. I find it very beneficial, and this is what we're going to do at cmpradio.net, the voice of Chester. We welcome you back at any time. We welcome anyone from any of your organizations that wish to speak directly to us here. Like you said, you're the president of the Eastern Seaboard. That includes us. That includes us in the history. So now that we have a viable connection to the Tuskegee Airmen, now that we have a viable connection to the American Revolution and James Lafayette, now that we have a viable connection to someone that we all now personally know comes from the history of freedom in America on both sides of your family, correct? On both sides of your family. I want to say this in closing. We all do not come from the ancestry of slavery. And that does not belittle or diminish any part of the American diaspora whatsoever. The tragedies and the atrocities that happened during that time have been documented. There's no excuse for it. We know it. But I think that what we need to do in the year of truth 2025 moving forward is bring forth these stories of inspiration. Brings forth these stories of truth, recognition, service, commitment, and courage. And Tina, you are one of those people. Thank you so much for being on the Wonderful World of Rich Blye. Come back and see me anytime you want.
Thank you.
All right.
It's been an honor.
Thank you so much. We'll be talking to you real soon, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, folks. There you have it. There you have it. I'm really, like I said, on this program, on this station, there will be relevant topics of discussion for folks to do and deal with on the Wonderful World of Rich Blye. This is just the start of it, folks. I'm just getting started. I have some wonderful, wonderful guests that are going to be coming up into this radio station on StreamYard. We're going to be doing some live remote stuff. The Wonderful World of Rich Blye is going to be mobile. It's going to go viral. It's going to do a lot of different things. I got a lot of great programming coming your way, especially starting next week. And I'm going to give you a sneak peek. This is someone that I've been talking about for the past 4 or 5 years as an artist, as a father, as a husband, as an all-around great person. Of course, I'm talking about my guy, Del-P. You don't know who Del-P is? If you don't know who Del-P is, Del-P is the #1 rap artist coming out of Philadelphia right now. He's just signed, and he has a new album out called The Transition of Power. And he will be my special guest next Monday on the Wonderful World of Rich Blye. You're going to hear some fantastic music. I was going to tease you with a little bit of it today, but I said, nah, I'm going to let my man do all of that. I'm going to let him intro what he has to do, because you know why? He signed on to Chuck D's label, Slipknot Records. And I want to tell you right now, that Transition of Power album is hot. Everybody knows that Mr. Del-P was part of my Juneteenth program. He was the first hip hop artist out at the Rose Tree Park, out in the Rose Tree Park several years ago. He's the first hip hop artist to grace that stage. This man has won just about every major local award that a rap artist musician can get. This man has extensively traveled. He is well respected in the community, and I'm proud to call him my friend. So next week, get ready to dance, get ready to party, get ready to have a good time, get ready to hear somebody that can spit it, get ready to hear somebody that's going to tell you the truth about this street knowledge and why it is necessary to have this music in our culture. Again, Del-P, okay? Don't forget the hyphen, okay? And with that, I'll see you guys on the flip side.
CMPradio.net, it's the station. Listen, man, let's cultivate together. Bring us all your show ideas. Content creators, we're looking for that. Videographers, we're looking for that. You can be a part of the next great big thing that takes place right here in Chester, Pennsylvania.